Hello everyone. So today let us take a look at this question on the community, and this question is quite common, and I wanted to of course make a video on this because there are a lot of people who still use Jira on server or data center, and moving forward I think many people will use, or more people or organizations will use Jira Cloud. But at the same time, I want to continue making videos and sharing things on server/data center version. And this question is all about best practices. So yesterday I made a video where I talked about the possibilities of installing and upgrading apps on Jira and Confluence using UPM's REST API. And today I thought I'll probably talk about the best practices. Now the question from Dimitrios is about what things, checks needs to be done when we have to install, or especially when we have to upgrade an app. Now talking about best practices, or talking about how to do it for a new app, or maybe for an existing app, always do it on a test environment. If you have your own Jira instance on prem, then you must have your own staging or test environment where you can play with new configurations or any customizations, automations, and upgrading your Jira instance. And this is of course applicable for apps as well. If you, let us say, want to or have to upgrade an app, then do it on the test environment where you have time to take a look at what all can go wrong. And if it can go wrong, then what all you can do to fix it. And one thing that I always do is, of course, number one, you need to do it on a test environment. So you should have a test environment, which is again something that you need to do. So ask your IT guys, your system admin guys to configure and set up. I think this is something that should be part of your organization's policies, like have a test environment. And the second thing is that always go to the vendor or marketplace listing of the app, and then go to the app's documentation, and especially look at the release notes. Usually, not always, but usually, if you are using an app, let us say app like Script Runner, not on cloud but on server. Let me switch it to the server version so that we can see, and I can show you the release notes. So let us say you're talking about server version, and whenever you have to upgrade, your UPM will tell you that this app has an update, and it will also probably show you the maybe some fixes or what all you will get in the new version, basically the release note. But to read it properly, you can always go to the version, or maybe if you're on the same page, maybe if you're on the marketplace listing, you can see here that there is something called as version history. So you can maybe you can click on it, and then when you click on the version history, you will always have some details about the app's specific versions, release notes. So basically, if there is a new let us say version of Script Runner, let me try to open this. It is a bit slow. I think my internet is working, but let me open the site. Yeah, my internet is working, so there is something wrong with the marketplace listing. So let us say you want to take a look at the release note of the latest version, which is 6.43. So you will be taken back. Either you will have some information on the page itself, or you will have this documentation where you can find quite a lot. For example, here we can see that for this particular version, 6.43, 6.4.3, you have things like what all bugs are resolved, bug fixes are there, and at the same time, you can obviously take a look at them, but do take a look at the summary. So, for example, in this particular version, we have announced a view server log, so I don't really think it will cause any problem. But at the same time, if you now look at 6.42, you now have a few things that are no longer there. So it says remote event listeners are now deprecated. So this is something that you need to know. You can also learn about a few things like changes to behavior. So these are simple things. I'm just showing you a couple of examples where this is something that you can do. For script runner, it is of course especially important because not usually, but it can happen that with a new version of script runner, your scripts can break, and you need to ensure that after upgrading your app, you have to test your scripts. So talking about those tests or checks that you can do, it depends on the app. If you're using a simple app, then just write a simple list. What I normally do, I create a table where I ask people, UAT candidates to perform some checks. For example, let us say if you're talking about an app like Tempo, so I will ask people to do maybe 4 or 5 or 10 simple basic tests to ensure that they are able to log their time, they are able to send the timesheets for approval, they are also able to take a look at the reports, and these simple checks will ensure that your app is supposed to do, or the app is doing what it's supposed to do basically after the upgrade. And this is of course applicable for apps where you have quite a lot of functionality, but for majority of apps, in my experience, I think you can just upgrade the app and just do a quick basic check quickly, and it works. But if you're trying to do it for a big instance of Jira, then maybe create a list or maybe some kind of test cases, especially if you're using apps like Tempo or things like apps like Script Runner, where a lot of automation is involved. And if you are using an app like Structure, for example, then these apps are used by people on a day-to-day basis, and you need to basically ensure that you perform some basic checks before doing it on production. So again, talking about the list of checks or tests that you need to perform, it all depends on those individual apps that you're trying to upgrade. So in this video, that is all I wanted to share very quickly with all of you. Some best practices on installing and updating of apps. So that is all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.